Man, it has been a wild weekend for players getting paid in the NFL. And me personally, I am all for it. I love seeing players get their money, whether it's on my team, whether it's on somebody else's team, because the league makes a lot of money off the backs and the health of these players. Right now, America's greatest sport, most popular sport, so get your money. And the first player that we're going to talk about getting paid is, of course, Mark Andrews. The Baltimore Ravens did absolutely nothing. And on the fifth day of the league year, Mark Andrews got his $4 million roster bonus. So as of right now, it looks like that Mark Andrews is going to be in the plans for the Baltimore Ravens going into the future. I know a lot of people are happy. There's been speculation. There were trades put out there, but the Ravens just weren't happy with the compensation being set forth. So does this actually mean that Mark Andrews is going to be a Raven for the 2025 season? It has yet to be seen, because there could be a team out there that is willing to up their offer a little bit more that the Ravens may be interested in trading Mark Andrews for, or they could be waiting for a draft day trade. We don't know how the draft board is going to fall. We don't know if there's going to be a round or a player that the Ravens may actually this year want to trade up to go get, and Mark Andrews could be that bargaining chip. Or they could just let things play out, have Mark Andrews play in the last year of his contract, and then just move on in free agency. We don't know. It's all speculation as of right now. But I know there are a lot of Ravens fans that love having him back, knowing that he's possibly, most likely, going to be on this team for this season for all that he's done for the Baltimore Ravens during the regular season in his career. And yes, I said during the regular season. Well, I know a lot of Ravens fans love to say, well, he had one bad playoff game. That just means you don't watch football and you haven't seen the totality of his career. But that's neither here nor there. We're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen in the saga that is Mark Andrews and him being a Baltimore Raven for the rest of the season. And a little bit earlier today, Ronnie Stanley spoke to the media. He talked about why he came back to the Baltimore Ravens. Was he curious about the money, about people wanting him on other teams? And he basically said, listen, Baltimore was the team that drafted me. They took a chance on me out of college. This is my home, and they stuck with me. So, of course, I'm going to be loyal to them and give them the first opportunity to give me a contract that I felt was feasible to the way I wanted to be paid. And he did say he gave a hometown discount, but he just wanted something kind of in the middle to help the salary cap situation and also be paid compensatory to what he feels like his value is worth. Maybe not the total value, but at least possibly something commensurate, close to where the level that he is, the level that he was, the level that he is going to go to. We really don't know right now. But he did say that he was tempted by the bag, but it just wasn't enough to sway him from leaving Baltimore at this time. And the thing that stuck out to me during his press conference, the most important thing was the reason he said that he really came back to Baltimore, and that was his teammates. And this is why I'm always stressing continuity. It's those friendships, it's those bonds that bring people back when the money is out there. It's the relationships that you build in that building that keep people returning. That's how teams normally win championships. It's not that they're all great players and they come together and they play on a team. It's they bond. They bond as friends, they bond as family. And when you have that kind of love for another man and you want to see him succeed and you want to do well for somebody else, that's how these teams go out and win Super Bowls. They win NBA championships. They win Major League World Series. Well, maybe not the World Series because they just pay their way into championships most of the time. But in basketball and in football, it's normally that cohesion, that cohesiveness when the teams come together and bond that they actually win. So for me, that was the most important part about it, that he said the love of his teammates is what brought him back, talking to Lamar, and not even about contract situations. They just talk like men. They talk like friends. And that relationship you may not be able to get on some other team, even though they may be able to offer you a couple million more. And some people just have that mindset of, listen, this is more money than I'll ever spend in my lifetime. If I invest it properly, if I save my money, my kids, my grandkids will never have to work. And adding $8 more million to be somewhere and be miserable is not worth it to some people. Now, some chase the bag. I ain't mad at him. But for Ronnie Stanley, kudos to you. Now, I have a different level of respect for him and more of an appreciation for what he brings to this organization. And speaking of getting your money, it is official today. Tylan Wallace signed his contract to remain a Baltimore Raven. He signed a 1-year, $2.25 million contract. This was a guy that I thought was a goner. I didn't think that he was going to come back, but the Ravens see enough in him to bring him back to be the fourth wide receiver. Now, he did catch a career high 11 passes for a career high 193 yards and a career high 1 touchdown. but I think it's his special teams prowess that makes him very valuable to this team. And he can come in the pinch. That Cincinnati game, he showed a lot to the Ravens, and I believe that they feel like they can get more out of him if he gets another opportunity. So he at least gets one more year to prove his worth. Maybe his numbers will go up. He'll catch even more passes and get more touchdowns and get more yardage this season. But at least the young man is going to get paid for another season. And speaking of really getting paid, this is where we get to the portion of big money talk. Like, this is the guys that separate themselves from everybody else when it comes to money. And first and foremost, the Houston Texans have signed Derek Stingley, cornerback, to a 3-year, $90 million extension. They said, forget the 5th-year option. We're just going to extend him. We believe in this kid that much. Now, this deal makes him the highest paid cornerback in the league, surpassing J.C. Horn of the Carolina Panthers. He's going to make $30 million a year. He is one of the best up-and-coming cornerbacks in the NFL. There was a debate between him and Sauce Gardner who was going to be the better cornerback in the NFL. And to me, I think he's proven that he's that much better. I mean, $30 million a year, I think that speaks for itself. But to me, the interesting portion of this is, how does this deal correlate to the Baltimore Ravens? And the way that it correlates is like this. With the prices skyrocketing for each and every position, especially for the non-quarterback positions, it's going to affect the Ravens, because who do we have up and coming for an extension? Yes, I know that the Ravens are going to pick up the 5th-year option for Kyle Hamilton, but what does it mean for him long term? And this is why I said in one of my videos before, I thought that the Ravens this year should have extended Kyle Hamilton and not sat on their butts and waited. We waited for Joe Flacco. We had to pay him a lot of money. We waited for Lamar Jackson. Paid him a lot of money. And as NFL contracts seem to go higher and higher and higher, the longer that we wait, the more of the money is going to be paid to these defensive backs and these safeties. Antoine Winfield Jr. right now is the highest paid safety in the NFL at $21 million per year. What do you think is going to happen if the Ravens pick up Kyle Hamilton's 5th-year option? He plays another year and balls out. Somebody else gets paid, and then he's up at bat. Yeah, they may try to franchise tag him, but then somebody else is going to get paid, and the price is going to go even higher. So I think the Ravens need to do whatever they need to do and free up some money and get this young man extended as fast as possible. Because if not, it's going to be a hefty price. And Marlon Humphrey had a joke saying, listen, Kyle Hamilton is going to be a $40 million man. And when he does, he's going to have to cover his man and he's going to have to cover my man at the same damn time. So the Ravens, in my opinion, they need to do something and sign this young man before we get to that $40 million escalation period. Before the prices of defense gets high enough to where he's making 2 years ago quarterback money. Is he worth it to the team? Probably so. But can the Ravens afford to pay all of these guys all of this money? Because if Kyle Hamilton makes it up to that $35 million range, somebody's going to have to get let go, or we're going to have to save on certain positions on the team. So I think that it is best right now that we sign him to an extension. Forget that year. Do what the Houston Texans did. Sign him to a long-term deal, backload it, make it a low salary cap hit for the next 2 years, and then we can sign some other guys. But if not, you're eventually going to have to pay the piper. The price is going to come due sooner or later for Kyle Hamilton. And segueing from Kyle Hamilton to needing him in that backfield, some division foes made some moves over the weekends too. And I think that this is the craziest thing of them all. Like, this to me was like, wow. And not only because of the money, because of who it was. And that is the Cincinnati Bengals with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, with the cheapest owner in the NFL and Mike Brown. On the same damn day, they decided that they were going to sign Jamar Chase to a 4-year, $161 million contract with an average of $40.25 million per year. And you're like, whew, which makes him the highest non-paid quarterback in the league. And you're like, well, damn, it's a lot of money. Well, guess what? That was not it. They also signed T. Higgins to a 4-year, $115 million deal, which is $28.75 million per year, making him the highest paid number 2 receiver in the league, even though technically he's not a number 2 because he could be a number 1 on any team. Like, in the same day, good golly, Miss Molly. Woo! I know Mike Brown's hand was shaking when he signed off on that deal. Like, Then you add in Joe Burrow's 5-year, $75 million deal. That is an average of $124 million per season, just for your top 3 players. I'm not saying that they ain't worth it, but they're going to have to do some real finagling They're going to have to do other things to be fiscally responsible to get the rest of this roster under wraps. 125 million for 3 players. Whew, they better win something, because this is what Joe Burrow wanted. And I know a lot of fans are happy because they're like, listen, you paying them all that money, now you can't pay for defense. They better go out and find somebody to do some shrewd drafting, because they're going to need cheap labor, and cheap labor real soon. But with that being said, we're going to need Kyle Hamilton. We're going to need Nate Wiggins to develop. We're going to need Marlon Humphrey to stay here. And whoever we draft in the first round this year, we're going to need those players. So a lot of players got paid this offseason, and I love to see it happen. I love to see it happen. You have players that put their lives on the line and shorten their lifespan. They shorten their quality of life. So for them to get this money, it's all good. I think it's all worth it. Some people may think a lot of them are overpaid, but not everybody can do what they do. So get your money. Hopefully these other teams have weakened themselves and the Ravens are on the right path to putting together a Super Bowl squad, because like I said, we need to get things right now, because down the line, we're going to have to pay that piper, because don't forget, Tyler Linderbaum is going to be needing a contract extension as well. And I think I heard somebody say that he's going to be expendable because of the Kyle Hamilton contract. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. All I have to say is, remember Matt Skura? Remember that fiasco? So the Ravens are going to have to come up with some money. They're going to have to get creative with their cap as well. Next season after that, Lamar has a $76 million cap hit or a $74 million cap hit. They're not going to be able to do a lot unless they start some restructures, they start doing some deals, they start cutting some players. So players, get your money, but Baltimore, do what you need to do.